compulsory vaccination is not a new issue. It's an issue which has engaged the law, especially having regard to its implication for human rights. Now, what is happening is that what you are seeking to solve by deploying compulsory vaccination impinges on a certain human right. And what you seek to leave unsolved if you don't deploy compulsory vaccination also affect a certain human right, the right to privacy, the right to dignity, and so many other autonomy-related rights. On the other hand, you also need to safeguard the public health. And especially so, if you look at our Constitution, one of the legitimate justifications for restricting a person's liberty, a person's human rights, is where it is necessary to protect the public health, public morals, public safety. So therefore, we ask the question, if a person is not vaccinated against coronavirus or COVID-19, is he going to pose a serious risk to other members of the public, other members of the population? If the answer is yes, then what it means is that the person being vaccinated is absolutely necessary for protecting the public health. And for that matter, it is well within the recognized grounds of legitimate justification for restricting or for suspending the human rights under appropriate circumstances. But the principle of proportionality also have to be respected. That is to say that the measure which we will employ in order to activate or trigger or deploy compulsory vaccination should be such that they are just necessary and not in excess. And of course, we also have this big issue of bioethics, or what you call like the ethical thinking as whether something is right or good when it comes to this particular matter. If you look at our Constitution, for example, I'll give you an example. When it comes to blood transfusion, blood transfusion, you see the Constitution is quite clear that where the patient is a child, then the Constitution does not respect any religious or any other grounds for refusing essential medical care to that particular child patient. Now, one would argue that in the case of Jehovah's Witness or other religious groups that do not actually embrace blood transfusion or some other product as part of their therapeutic management and all that. Now, blood transfusion, let's say that if someone is seriously anemic and he doesn't allow blood transfusion, now he's a threat mainly to himself. He's not a threat to third parties. And for that matter, if you are using D.S. Mill's no harm principle in bioethical thinking, one would argue that, yes, you have autonomy so far as you do not pose harm to your neighbor. You do not pose harm to third parties. Therefore, where a particular health condition, such as you being infected with COVID-19, is going to affect so many others around you, then your refusal to get yourself vaccinated so that you don't get infected with COVID-19 is not something which just affects you on the same pedestal with maybe you refusing blood transfusion because of your religion or some other ideology that you subscribe to. Now, this one, it becomes a risk to entire population within your to approximate which. And for that matter, it is legitimate for your autonomy to be made subservient to the grand principle of safeguarding the public health. And I think that if you look at the European Court of Human Rights and all that, if you interrogate their case law or jurisprudence closely, you seem to get a sense that those countries which have evinced an intention to go on the trajectory of compulsory vaccination have not come under the interim measures, which the courts will usually have triggered so as to prevent you from going ahead with the intervention, which has the rare risk of actually infringing human rights until maybe the court has gone fully into that. We haven't seen that yet. And of course, we can mention the Greek example, the Syrian example, where it all announced, but the European Court of Human Rights have not actually imposed any interim measures that, yes, government put on hold what we intend to do until we have gone into